Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly, and welcome everybody once again for another amazing video of DIY investing. I got a bunch of really cool fractals that I wanted to share with you guys that is going to perfectly explain my long-term approach for the cryptocurrency market. I wanted to go through and give you guys this update because I genuinely believe that long-term we have never been more bullish and we are getting ready for a lot of upside potential over the next few months. I strongly believe that this is the disbelief phase of the market cycle before we actually start the next major impulses towards breaking all-time highs. The people that are investing right now, the people that are ignoring all of the FUD are going to be the ones that are going to reap the rewards and experience all of the massive profits to be had over this next cycle. If you're new and just finding this channel, always remember to do me a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel for more updates. Make sure that you guys click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos like the one provided for you here. And always remember, guys, to join my free Discord. It's one of the fastest growing and the very best Discord communities out there. Over 17,000 members, and it's a great place to congregate, ask questions, as well as share analysis of your own on the cryptocurrency market. All you guys are going to do to join is to click inside the description of this video, and there you're going to find the invitation link to my Discord. Now, on the Discord server, I also offer my more exclusive content like the video course and signals. So, if you're somebody that wants to follow along with my 20 educational videos that teach you how to trade, or you're somebody that would rather just follow along and copy all the trades that I take and copy my portfolio, make sure you guys stay all the way to the end of this video because then I'm going to be taking a couple minutes to explain how you guys can get signed up, the pros of doing so, and what it's going to take to get you guys going today. Once again, guys, make sure you download that free ebook that I have. It's full of exciting information that's going to teach you guys my ins and outs to cryptocurrency investing. It's a really good resource and a guide that's going to help new guys getting into this market understand some of the basic principles, how to invest and trade, along with some of the terminology that you're going to need to learn when it comes to actually investing. Once again, it's free. You guys can click it. Links are in the description of this video to download. And with all that being said, guys, let's jump right into this amazing update today. Alrighty guys, so first things first, I wanted to go over the total market cap for the altcoins because I wanted to share with you guys this pattern. We're going to be looking at the total market cap for the altcoins, and then we're also going to be looking at some of the indexes compared to Bitcoin because I think that these fractals perfectly explain where we're at inside of the market cycle, and I'm going to share with you guys exactly how the Wall Street cheat sheet, or specifically the emotional psychology of the market, lines up with all of this because I think this is really exciting stuff. I'm super hyped about this because overall this is just pointing to more reasons to be bullish long term. Now obviously guys, you already understand that I was expecting more downside on the lower end, but this is a long-term video. Once again, all of my trades are structured around the long term, which is why about 80% or over 80% of my money is just invested in long-term projects. And so when I'm trading on these markets, I'm really just looking at the long-term trend because in my opinion, that's where you're going to find the most sound advice. You're going to be able to develop a trading plan that's going to get you ahead of the curve. And so first things first, let's dive into here, and I want to talk to you guys about this simple pattern that I've noticed playing out inside of the altcoin total market cap. Now, really what we're getting here is an exact repeat of the last altcoin cycle that happened back in here. We peaked in 2013. We ended up leaving this accumulation range at about the 1st of January of 2016, and then we had that big long bull cycle. Now really today we're pretty much following the exact same curve, and it's really encouraging to see that. I mean, really, we get the cycle high in both of these, and it pretty much leads to the exact same type of accumulation. After that, we sell off, we kind of find the short-term support floor, and this is where we kind of chop around for a little while before ultimately leading to our final capitulation low. And we can see that both of these look exactly the same. You know, we get the same type of little W formation that forms in here, and then we end up selling off for one more low. This is the final low that we get. And then we end up getting this little relief bounce that takes us back up to some of these resistances. The exact same thing has happened in the current cycle, guys, and this is pretty much uncanny. You can't really deny the resemblance between both of these, and if you do, I'm here to say that you're probably going to be wrong just because this cycle is lining up almost identical to the last one, which is going to ultimately spell a lot of bullish price appreciation. And so that's really what I'm looking for. The majority of my portfolio is weighted for this long term, and so, you know, whether the market goes up, whether the market goes down, I'm here with cash ready to buy, or, you know, mainly I've already packed my bags because I've been dollar cost averaging since mid 2018. And so I'm just looking for that long-term prospect. And really we see this relief rally that gets rejected. This would have been, our summer of 2019 where we kind of peaked out and then we started the decline. Now, the same type of market structure is to be had here. After the decline, we come back down to retest support again. This happens here. And then we get another relief bounce. This relief bounce is rejected. And then we sell off for our final low. This would have been COVID for us. Now, obviously, this one kind of made a higher high, but the COVID panic caused this to retrace and really just retest the whole capitulation low in and of itself. And so there are some differences, but nonetheless, these are pretty much the same types of charts. We get the 3 lower highs in here, and then we find our third bottom, and then that's what ultimately takes us into that next impulse. And really, that's exactly what we saw after COVID. Now, when I see this chart, it just makes me feel like we're somewhere in between this stage over here, where we're just barely starting to break out, we're barely making our first higher highs, and ultimately what I think is going to spawn from this is going to be a big impulse that's going to look pretty similar to the last cycle. And we'll just kind of draw something like this. We'll just make it real easy, and we'll just layer it over here, because ultimately this is kind of where I think that we could be at in this current cycle. And obviously it would be a little bit more scrunched down. But I do believe that this could be where we're at. We're about to be making that first macro higher high where we break out, we start hitting upwards of these all-time high levels. And that's really what happened right here. We can see that in the last cycle, we had that little relief bounce that topped out right here. We had this little ABC correction that took us back pretty close to the all-time highs. And we can see that we didn't really start the bull market until we cleared above that resistance. And that's what we saw right here. And so assuming this pattern continues, we need to make a higher high above pretty much the level that we're at now, which I think will turn into something along the lines of this. I think that we'll get one more impulse after that's going to take us pretty close to that all-time high. We might kind of consolidate here for a short period of time, heading into, about spring of next year. And then from spring of next year, I'm expecting that's when we'll get the full-blown bull cycle that we've all been expecting. Because nonetheless, this is pretty much following identical to the last cycle. And because it's following this identical, I expect that the market structure itself is going to continue to play out very similarly. Now, it doesn't have to look exactly like this, but nonetheless, I'm really confident that it will. And I think that we're going to be bottoming and starting that next major impulse past all-time highs in about spring of 2021. And that's pretty much the same thing that we saw here, around February, March is when we started really breaking out and going parabolic. And I would expect that this is going to line up pretty close to that because really, guys, the time frames are pretty much identical. We had the same 3-year accumulation cycle from the top of the trend to the bottom of the trend. And then we started that big bull cycle. And we can see that we've had the same thing. This was 2014. This was 2015. And then this was 2016. So we had that 3 years of consolidation. We've seen the same thing here. This was 2018. This was 2019 down here, and then we had 2020 over here. So we've had 3 years worth of consolidation. Even though it looks a little bit different, we've still had the same 3 years worth, and that's actually pointing us over here towards that 2021, which we can see in 2017, which happened about right here. We can see that in 2017 was pretty much the low point before we had that massive parabolic move. And so that's why I'm expecting 2021 to be the same point, really just that bottom before we head into that major impulse, which I expect that major impulse to last about a year's time. It's following identically thus far. I don't expect that this correlation is going to stop anytime soon, and it would make a lot more sense that we're going to continue to follow this. But what's really interesting is the fact that, guys, this was really where Ethereum first started its impulse, was back down in here where it went from 40 cents up to $21, from $21 back down to $6, and then from $6 it went all the way upwards of 400 to 1450 ultimately. And so I still believe that we're in the very early stages of all of this. We really still have, if we go back to Ethereum, at this point in the Ethereum cycle, Ethereum would have been valued at, maybe $10. And so that just shows how early we still are in the cycle. If you would have bought an $8 Ethereum, you would have been so thankful because you would have made over 100x returns. Now we're in the exact same point of the cycle, but most people are still too scared to actually buy, which is what we've been doing on this channel is dollar cost averaging over the long-term trend, which has been the most useful tool in our trading plan. So one of my all-time favorite charts is the emotional psychology of the market, or the Wall Street cheat sheet. This to me has been one of the biggest helps in my overall trading plan because it's really showed me just exactly how cycles work and how cycles play out. And so let's go over here and actually analyze the emotions, because this is the emotions that you feel when trading or investing inside of a financial market. We can see that we have the disbelief phase. The disbelief is just merely where people don't believe that anything is going to happen in the cycle. They don't think that the market's going to continue to go up. They're more just in denial about everything. And that's really where you want to be buying. It's the very beginning of the new impulse. And then we can see that we kind of break out. We start uptrending. This hope phase right here is about the same as over here. And we can see that it's pretty correlated as far as how the market structure looks. It's very obvious to tell, in my opinion. This is the hope phase, really where we go through the disbelief, and then we make that first higher high, and we start uptrending. The same thing happened right here. This is where we start uptrending before we go parabolic, and then that's when you get the massive increase in value that happens really quickly. And we can see that this is what happened in crypto back in 2017. Optimism, which would have been about right here. Belief would have been right here. Thrill would have been there, and then we get euphoria, which comes at the cycle high. And then that's what ultimately starts the decline. Now, oftentimes with big bubbles like cryptocurrency, they can be so volatile that we don't really get a lower high like this. We usually just kind of pop at the top and then come crashing straight down. And so we don't get the same lower high like we saw here, but nonetheless, we still get the same type of impulsing markets. And I mean, you could argue that the lower high came right here, but ultimately you would have lost, 60 to 70% of your value had you have waited for that lower high. And that's why you want to exit out of the top of the cycle. When you see markets doing stuff like this, just going straight euphoric, parabolic, that's when you want to be scaling out, because once the rug has been pulled and the markets actually start to decline on the way down, that's when it becomes increasingly hard to sell. And in fact, if you were to try and sell right here, there's no liquidity until down in these areas. And so the only way to sell is for you to take a 40% loss just because nobody's actually buying at those levels, which is why we call it a rug pull. It pulls the rug out from under you, and then you're just stuck there falling on your butt. And that's what's going to happen in this cycle once again. Now, this is very much the same type of correlations here. In my opinion, we get almost the same type of accumulation. It is a little bit different here to some degree. I mean, you could label it a couple different ways. You could say that this was the anger. So we get capitulation, we get anger, and then we get depression. So this one could have been anger, this one could have been capitulation, and then this one over here would have been depression. COVID itself would have been the depression. Everybody was fed up of the markets. They expected everything to crash with the whole entire world burning in flames due to the virus. And because of that, many people missed out on amazing buying opportunity. Obviously, I spent most of my cash right here. I did manage to buy some more over in this area, but it's whatever. I accumulated a significant amount of crypto throughout this time, and I was thankful that we did manage to get a little bit of a dip so I could fill some more. I bought XRP, I bought Ethereum, and I bought Bitcoin, and those were really my holds throughout that time. Now, this is really where we get to the important part of this cycle, because this is really where I believe that we're at today. We can see that the total market cap of the altcoins has made a higher high. Technically, I mean, we're still trending below this level here for the most part, but we have kind of maintained support above this up to this point. We've had a couple attempts to break lower. We haven't had any successful ones, and so we're waiting to see whether, we ultimately do get a downside sell-off, or whether this is just a short-term correction before we go up. Either or can happen at this point, and that's why I call this the disbelief phase. Remember, guys, if we look over here, the disbelief phase comes right before the major uptrend in that cycle. And we can see that it also repeats right over here. So we get two disbelief phases. Remember, both of these are the start and the beginning before we have a massive uptrend in the market. And so this is what happens at the bottom of a cycle. We go through this long accumulation before ultimately we make our higher high, and that's what takes us to this disbelief phase, which takes us to price discovery. And that's what we're going to be experiencing once again. And this is really the same point in time that we're here inside of the total market cap for the cryptocurrencies, specifically the altcoins. We can see that we've started to make this impulse. There's a lot of people still in denial. I mean, I personally think that we might see one more low, but nonetheless, I still understand that this is the disbelief phase in and of itself. So even with me shorting, understand that that's such a small amount of my portfolio, and I've actually closed all of my shorts, and I'm actually flipping long throughout the majority of these. I just have a lot of cash on the sidelines that I really would like to deploy, and it would be so grateful for the whole thing, and I'd be so grateful if we could actually just get one more low. Am I counting on it? No, of course not, because obviously we know how cryptocurrencies go. I've already accumulated a large portion. I would just be grateful if we did get a new low. But the way the market structure is looking, we've held support, we've managed to break higher. It's looking a lot more bullish as the days go by. And so for that, we really need to pay attention to this exact trading plan. We can see that once we enter that first higher high, we get our sell-off, and then we start really impulsing. And really, this is the same thing that is happening here today, where we got that higher high, which would have been right here. We got that little disbelief phase, and I wonder if this is the exact same move, right? Before ultimately we go higher and break up once again. And that's really what I'm watching out for, guys. Regardless, if we go lower or if we go higher, both scenarios lead the same way, and I would just be happy to fill more buy orders. And that's really what you guys should be happy about too. You guys watching this video should be excited about the idea of us potentially getting one more leg lower, because ultimately that is giving you an opportunity to average into more crypto, buy at a cheaper discount, and then ultimately, you know, it's going to rebound, and then we're going to be going up much higher. And so that's what I would love. Whether I get it, you know, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to let my bias get in the way of things. I've got my bags packed and I'm ready for the long term. And you guys should be paying attention to this, because we're following this exact cycle almost identically. There's no difference here. Anyways, guys, this is the video I had for you. I wanted to go through, talk about a bunch of fractals. I wanted to look at the long-term trend, to share with you guys my bullish bias, why I'm so bullish on the long-term trend, why I believe that these markets are gearing up for the biggest market cycle that we've ever seen in cryptocurrency, and really how we can go about profiting off of those. Ultimately, all it comes down to is dollar cost averaging, holding to your natural bias. You know, I would love to get one more low to buy more crypto. Whether we get it or not, that's aside from the point. Ultimately, I just want to see you guys make profit, which is why we're here together. Now, quickly, before we wrap things up, I want to take a couple minutes to explain how you guys can sign up for my video course and signals for the people that want to. When you're getting into this market, the best thing that you're going to be able to do for yourself is find somebody that you can trust, find somebody that knows what they're doing over the course of these cycles, and invest and follow their trading plan. One of the biggest mistakes I made in the last cycle was just simply me not knowing what I was doing, me having to learn from mistakes, and mistakes can be costly, especially in a volatile market like crypto. By joining and signing up for my signals, you guys are going to get access to all the trades that I take along with my long-term portfolio. You guys are going to get market updates with anything that happens inside of Bitcoin, and I'm also going to be adding new videos that are secular aside from YouTube. So these are going to be private to only my Discord, and so if you guys join and sign up, you're going to get access to a ton of free content that is actually aside from the stuff that I post on YouTube to keep you guys informed, keep you guys updated, and in the loop. Ultimately, we're here to scale into this market and then scale out in the year of 2021. It pays to know what they're doing. It pays to know somebody that knows what they're doing, so that you guys can actually get out at the right time and maximize your profits. Any idiot can make a bunch of money over the course of the cycle, but it takes a special kind of person to be able to actually keep that money and actually realize those gains. And so that's what I'm going to be doing inside of my group. By signing up, you guys are going to get access to all of my exits and my entries, exits, and any type of stop loss that I set. You guys are going to understand my trading plan as well as my long-term portfolio, so you guys can copy along and follow along with all the trades that I'm doing over this cycle. Now, for the people that rather do this on yourself, I also offer a 20-part video series that's going to teach you guys all of my strategies for profiting. You guys will know the ins and outs of my trading plan, and then you're also going to be able to apply the strategies learned to be your own trader, be your own investor, and do the same stuff that I do every single day. So if this is interesting to you guys, all you guys got to do to sign up is to click inside the description of this video, and there you're going to find the link to my website. You guys can find the link to purchase my VIP. You guys can purchase them together or separately. But ultimately, if you guys can only pick one, I always recommend going with the signals first. The signals are going to be the thing that helps you guys out the most, because of the fact you're going to be able to copy my portfolio, make some profit, and if you really want to pursue the course full time, you guys can take some of that profit that you already made in the signals and then buy the course with it. And so ultimately, guys, I want to see you profit, and I know that this is going to be a big help for you new guys that are getting into this market. So make sure you guys reach out. One final thing, if you guys don't want to actually buy anything, make sure you download my free ebook, because that's going to give you some insider information as far as what my group comes with, how my trading plan works, and how I invest into these markets. There's a ton of terminology that you guys are going to need to learn in order to learn some of the basic principles towards investing and trading in these markets. I also have a 10-part quiz in there that you guys can go through, read all the information, and then quiz yourself at the end to retain all of the information inside the ebook. Over 38 pages, full of exciting information. Links are in the description to download that free ebook. Thank you guys so much for the support. And with all that being said, guys, I will catch you in the next video. As always, peace out.